man, that guy folded like a cheap lawn chair. That guy folded like a bed sheet. I've had hiccups that have lasted longer than Vladimir Zelenskyy after he threw his temper tantrum at the White House. I'll just tell you, this just goes to show, you take away somebody's funding, and they're like, whoa, wait a minute now. I was a tough guy until you told me I couldn't have my allowance, Daddy. Now I'll do my chores. What's up? That sounded really creepy, by the way. What's up? This is Mark Kaye. Saves the Republic. And it was really, I'll tell you that this Donald Trump diplomacy, I'm all here for. I missed it. I mean, this it's not new. We've seen this before, but it's, I think everybody was ready for it. After the first time Donald Trump rolled into office, people weren't ready. They weren't really ready for Donald Trump diplomacy. But then after 4 years of Joe Biden and the botched withdrawal of Afghanistan and the Ukrainian debacle and all of the war and all of the fighting, I think after 4 years of that, everyone was like, bring me back some of that Donald Trump diplomacy, that DTD. Oh, it's so exciting to see, and it's really effective. And I'm going to roll through exactly what's been going on since Friday, but really in the last 24 hours, really in the last handful of hours. I think it was 9 hours. That Donald Trump, was since Donald Trump threatened Zelenskyy with basically not even threatening, just saying, hey, great. You got friends in the UK and they're going to fund your war. Fantastic. We will wash our hands of you, you ungrateful little SOB. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Listen, we'll get to that here. There's so much to talk about today. There was breaking news right before, and this happens all the time. This happens it happened when I was on the radio and television. It happens now that I'm on the internet. And with this podcast, with this video live stream that we do every single day, there's always breaking news, especially in Donald Trump's, ecosystem. And just before we went live, not Pierre Trudeau, that's his dad. Justin Trudeau, the governor of Canada, he basically declared war on or said we were at war with the United States of America. He's lying to his people, and he's saying these tariffs, we're now in a trade war with America.
So today, the United States launched a trade war against Canada. At the same time, they're talking about working positively with Russia, appeasing Vladimir Putin, a lying, murderous dictator.
I'll be honest, I can't take anyone seriously who doesn't have a microphone that works properly. He's like, Donald Trump and the United States of America has declared a trade war on tariffs, and at the same time, they're working with Vladimir Putin. And then, if you're the prime minister / governor of Canada / the 51st state, you at least get a working microphone. That's one of my biggest pet peeves, is when the microphone doesn't work or when people don't know how to talk into the microphone. That's the one thing I've taught my children. I mean, I've taught my children hopefully a lot more than that. But one of the things I'm most proud of is that both of my children, they know how to use a microphone. I remember we were on stage, but there was some kind of event, and one of my kids, my son, was on stage, and he was in a group of kids, and the kids were supposed to go through and say their name and where they're from and their favorite color. And the kids, they'd grab the microphone, they'd be like, my name's Janet, and I like yellow, and I go to this school. Then the other kid's like, my name's Leroy, and then it got to my son, and he's just like, he goes right, puts it right up to his mouth, and he goes, my name is Daniel Kaye, and I love the color blue. And I was like, this is great. And everybody could hear him. It was clear. It was concise. Teach your kids how to use a microphone. It's a very important skill. It's a very important skill in this day and age, and it's one that even world leaders haven't yet mastered. But the tariffs went into effect at midnight, so that's something we got to talk about. And then, of course, big speech today. Big, huge speech today. Donald Trump giving it's kind of a State of the Union address, but here's the issue. Because Donald Trump's only been in office for 6 weeks, it's not like an actual State of the Union address. They always say, in the Constitution, it says the president shall from time to time address Congress and give an update on the State of the Union, blah, blah, blah. This is not that. It is basically, but because he's only been back in office for 6 weeks, it's a joint session of Congress that Donald Trump will be addressing. And we, of course, will be bringing you that live. This is an exciting time because we get to do a live late night version. Is 8 o'clock late night? For me, it is. For some people, it is. But for me, it's a late night version. We're gonna be back live at 8 o'clock. Now, the speech itself is scheduled to begin at 9. And I say scheduled to begin at 9 because it's Donald Trump. And you know how he rolls. He's not gonna roll in there right at 9 o'clock and start orating. He's gonna roll in there maybe 9:10. Then he walks through the chamber, and when he walks through the chamber, he's got to stop and shake hands, and everyone's gonna, the sergeant at arms is gonna announce him. There's gonna be selfies, lots of applause, that kind of thing. He's gonna get up on the dais, on the podium there, with the Speaker of the House, Michael Johnson, behind him on one side, with the Vice President J.D. Vance. Which, man, how great is J.D. Vance? The greatest vice president of all time. And again, I may just be jaded because we came from the worst vice president of all time for 4 years to J.D. Vance. So maybe anybody would have looked better, but I don't know, man. I don't know. Think about the vice presidents we've had. We've had some real duds. All right, we've had some real duds. You had Cheney was okay, but Cheney was basically the president at particular times, especially during 9/11. But then you had Joe Biden. What an awful the only thing, Joe Biden was a horrible vice president. We should have seen it coming, but yeah, Joe Biden. Then after Joe Biden, you had Mike Pence. Then it was Kamala Harris. I mean, come on, that's like what is that? That's like 16 years of the world's worst vice presidents, and now we have J.D. Vance. And I have to tell you, I am all here for some J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance for 12 years, sign me up. I don't get. Look, and I know there's still some people thinking that Ron DeSantis is going to run. He's going to be a great choice. I know that there's people that think, Vivek Ramaswamy is. No, put JD. Let's start printing the banners. Let's start printing the signs. Get the stickers going. Call Joey from Sticker Mule. We need some JD Vance stickers pronto. Because it's going to be very exciting. Anyway, we'll get to him in here in just a minute. But then Donald Trump is going to get up there, and then he's going to speak. And then I imagine the speech will take somewhere. See, here's the thing. It's tricky with Donald Trump. It could be, I would say, no less than 90 minutes. So if it starts at, let's say he really gets rolling at 9:20, 9:30, you're talking about 11 o'clock before this thing wraps up. I'm thinking no less than 90 minutes. If it's any less than 90 minutes, it's like 89 minutes or 88. But I would say Donald Trump, he's a talker. And I know what you're thinking, Mark Kaye. He's only been back in office for 6 weeks. But look at all the stuff that he's done in that 6 weeks. In fact, don't even look at it. Just listen to Caroline Leavitt talk about it.
The American people, in fact, have never supported President Trump more than they do today. Every single one of his policies, when you go down the list, to your point, the vast majority of Americans support those policies. You look at the recent polling that showed from Harvard-Harris that showed 77% of Americans support a full investigation into the waste, fraud, and abuse that our federal government has been spending their hard-earned tax dollars on. So President Trump has his finger on the pulse of the American public. He knows what they elected him to do, and he's committed to doing it. Just look at his first month in office, and you'll hear him talk about that in his joint address to Congress tomorrow night. All of the accomplishments across the board, from bringing foreign investments back here to America to create good-paying jobs. Look at the border. February border numbers out this weekend. You had one of the largest declines in history of illegal border crossings. Only 8,000 people in the month of February, and virtually all of them were either arrested, immediately returned home, or prosecuted for crimes that they committed against our country. Under the previous administration, there were 8,000 to 10,000 people crossing every single day. And it's because of the historic action that has been taken by this president, virtually all through executive authority, I may add. We haven't even gotten started when it comes to Congress and passing President Trump's legislative agenda.
All right, look at that. So she's like, boom, boom. Immigration, done. Getting rid of illegal aliens, done. Getting women on safe in their own sporting events because we're getting the transgender dudes, done. All that's done. Economic bounce, done. Tariffs, done. Now what do we got? Well, we're still working on Ukraine. All right, well, we'll get that done too. In fact, that's basically done after what happened with Zelenskyy, and we'll get to that here in just a minute. So just so you know, just be aware that at 8 o'clock tonight, we will be going live once again. So make sure you're subscribed to this channel, whether it's YouTube or Rumble or X. Make sure you're following whatever option they give you to make sure that you continue to get this content every single day. That's the option you should select right now. If you're listening to our podcast, we won't be live on the podcast, but you should subscribe anyway, because you never know. You never know. I might go crazy and just upload the entire thing tonight as a podcast. Probably I won't, but you never know. So just be prepared for that by going ahead and subscribing to the podcast. Incidentally, today is Tuesday's Reviews Days. I forgot it last week. Somebody pointed that out to me. So we're going to get to some Tuesday's Reviews Days here in just a minute. But look, one more thing about the Democrats, and one more thing that's going to make this speech kind of actually exciting tonight, is that the Democrats, get this, the Democrats are planning to disrupt the speech. The Democrats are planning to disrupt the speech tonight. And they're going to disrupt the speech tonight in a couple of ways. One of them is they're going to bring noisemakers, is what I hear. I don't know what kind of noisemakers. I don't know if it's going to be the old crank kind or like the horns that, ooga, ooga, whatever. I imagine there's a bunch of old Democrats that have those in there. They're also going to bring eggs. I hear they're going to bring eggs because, egg prices are high or what have you, even though the reason the egg prices are high is because Joe Biden killed all the chickens. Yeah, here we go. Let me share this with you. This is from Election Whiz. Here we go. Breaking. Some congressional Democrats, the congressional Democrats, not the Senate Democrats. Some congressional Democrats are plotting to disrupt Trump's speech to Congress tonight by using a variety of tactics, including noisemakers, hand clappers. I don't know why hand clapping seems like a positive. Signs. I imagine that Ilhan Omar will have her famous signs. Not Ilhan Omar. Rashida Tlaib will have her famous signs. I imagine there'll be some Ukrainian flags as well. Eggs and walkouts. Now, walkouts, I'm all for. I support some walkouts. If these Democrats want to walk right out of the speech, have them walk right out. I will prop the door open for them because I believe that a walkout is, it's way less disruptive. And if you don't like the speech, you shouldn't have to go listen to it anyway. So I'm sure Donald Trump and everyone else will be totally thrilled that you've decided to walk out, and that you will no longer be listening. You will no longer be listening to the speech. But look, we'll get to all that here in just a minute, and I will share with you not just Vladimir Zelensky's. He basically folded, folks. He basically said, "Game over. I can't win this. I've overplayed my hand." And I like that Donald Trump used the "you don't have the cards" analogy because I'm a big poker player. I love poker, love to play poker, and I think it's something everybody can really kind of agree to or really kind of understand. He overplayed his hand. He didn't have the cards, and now he's folded. Donald Trump raised. And now Zelensky, was forced to fold. And we'll go to that here. We'll go to that here in just a minute. First, though, it is Tuesday's Reviews Days. And what I've decided to do is, if you leave a review on the iTunes or the Spotify or wherever you can leave a review, I think iTunes, if you go to Apple Podcasts and you leave a review, we're going to start reading some of these on the regs. And on a regular basis, we're going to read them. And then every month or so, we're going to pull a couple people, some winners. We're going to send some prize packs, some stickers, some other fun stuff that we have. And let me go back down here. Here we go. Let's see what we have. Awesome podcast. Very informative with a bit of humor. Missed you while away. So glad you're back. That's from CDHCMH96. Thank you very much. We really appreciate it. I think Magnificent Market I think we already read some of these anyway. So yeah, but these we read last week. So go ahead and post some new reviews so that next Tuesday we can have some new ones to update. But it's really easy to do. All you have to do is go to your Apple Podcast page. You have to hit the review button and let us know your thoughts on the show. Preferably again, if they're positive thoughts. If they're really good. If you're like, I love this show, that'd be the best. Those are the ones we really want. All right, let's get to Ukraine. So just before the show today, Vladimir Zelenskyy responding to Donald Trump pausing all aid to Ukraine. I guess that's really where we should start. Here's why Donald Trump diplomacy is the best kind of diplomacy, and here's why Donald Trump has been so successful, really, in such a short period of time, even though the Democrats have been railing against him and they've been lying about him and they've been saying he's going to destroy, people are going to die, he's going to start World War III. Donald Trump for years was accused of being the guy that was going to start World War III, and now here he is, lo and behold, the guy who's about to avert it. He's about to keep us from entering World War III, all because of his Donald Trump diplomacy. And all diplomacy isn't, sitting around and shaking hands and signing deals. A lot of it is argumentative. A lot of it is angry. A lot of it is yelling, "You're an idiot." Typically we just don't do it in front of the cameras, but Donald Trump does it a different way. So we saw last week, J.D. Vance and Zelensky start to get into it. And then Donald Trump jumped in and lambasted Zelensky, who was acting rude, who was acting petulant, who was not at all appreciative of what Donald Trump and the United States have done for him. And that's something Donald Trump actually said yesterday. He said, he was asked, what are we going to do? What is it going to take for Zelenskyy and Ukraine to come back to the table and be able to work with you? And Donald Trump said, first of all, you got to be more appreciative.
Well, I just think he should be more appreciative because this country has stuck with them through thick and thin. We've given them much more than Europe, and Europe should have given more than us because, as you know, that's right there. That's the border. This country really was like the fence on the border. It was very important to Europe, and I'm not knocking Europe. I'm saying that they were a lot smarter than Joe Biden because Joe Biden didn't have a clue. He just gave money hand over fist, and they should have been able to equalize with us. In other words, if we gave $1, they should have given. Well, we gave $350 billion. They probably gave $100, but on top of it all, they get their money back because they're doing it in the form of a loan, and it's a secured loan. So when I saw that, which I've known about for a little while, I said it's time for us to be smart.
Yeah, he's not knocking Europe, by the way. You know who's knocking Europe? J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance was on with Sean Hannity. Listen to what he said about the UK, which pledged like 20,000 troops to Zelenskyy.
Sean, I think our European friends, frankly, are being really, they're doing a disservice to the Ukrainians because their own populations are saying, we're not going to fund this war indefinitely. The American people are saying, we don't want to fund the war indefinitely. So the only thing that is in the best interest of America, of Russia, of Ukraine, and of Europe is to bring this thing to a close. What happened, Sean, is you have Zelenskyy. He goes to Europe, and a lot of our European friends puff him up. They say, you're a freedom fighter. You need to keep fighting forever. Well, fighting forever with what? With whose money, with whose ammunition, and with whose lives? The president is actually taking a much more realistic perspective and saying, this can't go on forever. We can't fund this thing forever. The Ukrainians can't fight forever. So let's bring this thing to a peaceful settlement.
And that's the whole good cop, bad cop of this. By the way, that's not there's another clip. That was part one of it. That's the whole good cop, bad cop. Donald Trump goes out there and goes, look, we love UK. We've got a great relationship with the UK. Great Britain was our #1 ally. Then Macron comes in. He goes, France is our longest standing ally, our very first friend. We fought the British together. We love Viva la Macron, all that kind of stuff. So Donald Trump's out there playing politics. He's doing the diplomat thing. He's saying we're all friends. And then J.D. Vance comes out here and goes, you guys are puffing up Zelenskyy and you're taking advantage of Ukraine and you're doing them a disservice. And then he says they don't even know how to fight because they haven't fought a war in forever.
If you want real security guarantees, if you want to actually ensure that Vladimir Putin does not invade Ukraine again, the very best security guarantee is to give Americans economic upside in the future of Ukraine. That is a way better security guarantee than 20,000 troops from some random country that hasn't fought a war in 30 or 40 years. The security guarantee and also the economic guarantee for Ukraine is to rebuild the country and ensure that America has a long-term interest. You're not going to do that if you come to the Oval Office, insult the president, and refuse to follow his plan for peace.
Yeah. By the way, Europe, by the way, UK, that's who he's talking about, the UK. He's literally out there going, the UK is going to give him 20,000 boots on the ground. They haven't fought a war in 60 years. And that's not going to do anything. You know what's going to do something? You know what's really going to move the needle? You know what's going to keep Ukraine secure? What's going to keep Ukraine secure is if they just sign this deal, and then they can have an investment by the United States of America, and we're never going to let Russia invade if we have economic interests there. It's better than NATO. It's better than NATO, and it's better than UK, some random country, as J.D. Vance likes to refer to him, which I think is a fantastic way to refer to those guys. And look, and here's the thing about Europe. Even Jake Tapper, where's this Jake Tapper clip that I had? I had a clip from Jake Tapper. Even Jake Tapper on CNN is calling foul on Europe because here it is. Ukraine is not getting as much support from Europe as Russia is. Okay. I want you to follow this. In fact, Donald Trump called about yesterday on Truth Social, and then it was reiterated by Jake Tapper on CNN. Europe has spent more money buying Russian oil and gas than they have spent on defending Ukraine by far. What does that mean? He's right about that too. What does that mean? It means European countries, UK, Germany, France, all these countries, they've been spending money. They've been spending money buying Russian gas and oil and importing it. And all that money that they spend on Russian gas and oil, Vladimir Putin sends to the Ukrainian border to bomb Ukrainians and shoot Ukrainians and kill Ukrainians and invade Ukraine. And he's sending all the entire war effort has been funded by European oil money that they're paying to Russia. And then on top of that, they give $100 billion to Ukraine. So they're basically they're funding both sides of the war effort, and they're actually funding Russia even more. And CNN's Jake Tapper even admitted
that Europeans were actually buying more Russian oil and gas than they were helping Ukraine in terms of the aid. So in some ways, the Europeans are funding both sides in this war.
Germany will become totally dependent on Russian energy if it does not immediately change.
And then they go back through we can play all that later. But basically, Jake Tapper saying, look, yeah, they're funding both sides of the war and they're giving more money to Russia. And then they're inviting this guy. I mean, it really is pathetic what Europe's been doing, or at least the European leaders. J.D. Vance is right. These guys are doing a disservice to Ukraine because they're pummeling money into Russia's army in exchange for energy. And then they tell Vladimir Zelenskyy, you can do it. You can get back in there. Pip, pip, old chap. Go fight that war. And Macron's all like, Viva Ukraine, Slava Ukraine, blah, go fight. And meanwhile, Russia's like, you guys want more oil? And they're like, yeah, please, we need more oil. That's exactly what's happening. And even CNN is admitting that what Donald Trump is saying is true. And that's why Vladimir Zelenskyy is calling it quits. I would like to reiterate Ukraine's commitment to peace. None of us wants an endless war, writes Zelenskyy on X, which I love that X is now, because Zelenskyy doesn't have Truth Social. Donald Trump has his own platform. He has Truth Social. So Donald Trump can go on Truth Social and post stuff. But Vladimir Zelenskyy doesn't. He has to go on X. I would like to reiterate Ukraine's commitment to peace, he writes. None of us wants an endless war. Ukraine is ready to come to the negotiating table as soon as possible to bring lasting peace closer. Nobody wants peace more than Ukrainians. My team and I stand ready to work under President Trump's strong leadership to get a peace that lasts. We are ready to work fast to end the war. And the first stages could be the release of prisoners and truce in the sky. Ban on missiles, long-range drones, bombs on energy and other civilian infrastructure, and truce in the sea immediately if Russia will do the same. So here's what happened. Zelenskyy goes to the White House. And this whole trip to the White House was not supposed to be a blow up, a dust up, a debate. It was not supposed to be a negotiation. By the time he showed up at the White House on Friday, the deal had been done. It was ready to be signed on the dotted line. All he had to do was show up, take some pictures, eat some lunch, answer some questions, sign the document, and then boom, he can go back to his country. He can be a hero. We can come in. We can get our rare earth minerals. The war will end and everything will be happy. That's where it was. There wasn't supposed to be any more debate. It was all strictly ceremonial. How do I know that? Because the best vice president in history told me.
When the Ukrainians came to Washington on Friday, it was supposed to be ceremonial. You know, there had been some public back and forth, some disagreements, some words spoken in public. And the president was like, let's have this moment. We give some credit to the brave Ukrainian fighters. And of course, it's a very brave army that they have there in Ukraine. Let's sign this minerals deal, which importantly does two things. It allows the American people to get some of their money back, but it also shows the Ukrainian people that America has a long-term investment in their sovereignty. You do those things, we'll sign this thing, we'll have a rah-rah moment, and then we'll get to the tough talk of negotiating peace. We couldn't even get the Ukrainians to a point where they could talk about the peaceful settlement. And look, in some ways, Sean, I get it. I get the frustration. I get the rage. It's their country. Of course, it's not our country. But you've got to accept, cooler heads have got to prevail. This thing cannot go on forever. This is the important point. I'd say this to of course, most importantly, the Americans who are watching watching, but people all over the world. When you talk to leaders in private, whether they're Ukrainian or European, when you talk to people in private, they will tell you this cannot go on forever. There aren't enough Ukrainian lives, there isn't enough American money, and there isn't enough ammunition to fund this thing indefinitely. The only realistic pathway to bringing this thing to a settlement is President Trump's pathway. We encourage both President Zelenskyy and President Putin to follow that path.
Yeah. And that was what was supposed to happen. It didn't happen. Zelenskyy blew up. He blew his top. He started screaming and yelling. J.D. Vance had to put him in his place. Donald Trump told him that he didn't have the cards. And he showed the world that he didn't actually really want peace. So he was invited to leave the White House, which he did. He went to talk to Bret Baier, and then he flew to Europe. Now, in Europe, they gave him something. The Europeans, as J.D. Vance has already told us, they placated the guy. They coddled him. They told him, "Oh, well, of course we'll give you money. We'll give you what, $3 billion? Where's my iPad? We'll give you $3 billion. We'll give you $3 billion, by the way, is not enough. Oh no. What happened to all my stuff? I just lost my buttons. Hang on one second. Let me go there. There we go. $3 million, by the way, is not enough, or $3 billion is not enough, because this guy's addicted to spending money. This guy's addicted to spending and squandering money and making sure what he does is he will take your money and it will disappear. And sometimes it goes to the war effort. Mostly it goes to Ferraris and trips to Spain and all other parts of the world so that he can continue to make more money. I mean, this is what we've been seeing. Bitcoin. I mean, think about all the money. How much money has gone right back into the Democrat pockets? Probably a lot of it. And the Ukrainians are, they're used to the corruption, but the rest of the world is not. And the Americans want no part of it. So he goes to Great Britain and they try to give him money and he goes, not so fast. I need more. And they're like, well, you're going to get $3 billion. Well, Donald Trump back at home is like, great. Here's what we're going to do. If you've got the Europeans, you don't need us anymore. Have fun. You got Europe. Take those euros and have at it. And Donald Trump cuts off all aid. Announced it yesterday. I'm cutting off all aid, military aid to Ukraine. He's got new partners in crime. The Europeans are going to take good care of him. Well, Vladimir Zelensky's like, oh, wait, not so fast. Not so fast. We still need America. So he cashes in his chips and he says, I'm ready to come back and I'm going to sign the deal. We do really value how much America has done to help Ukraine maintain its sovereignty and independence. And we remember the moment when things changed, when President Trump provided Ukraine with javelins. We are grateful for this. Our meeting in Washington at the White House on Friday did not go the way it was supposed to be. It is regrettable that it happened this way. It is time to make things right. We would like future cooperation and communication to be constructive. I did not hear an apology. I did not see the words, I'm sorry, I was wrong. I didn't see any of that. I don't know if you saw, let me read it again. There's no apology. Maybe in this last paragraph, there's something. Regarding the agreement on minerals and security, Ukraine is ready to sign it at any time and in any convenient format. What does that mean? Like a DocuSign? He's like, I'll just DocuSign this thing. You got to get your butt back here to the United States of America, get back on a plane. You got to come back to the White House. You have to apologize and you have to not stop acting the fool. Donald Trump, first of all, I don't think is going to let him sign this agreement as is. That ship has sailed. But he's like, we'll sign it at any time and in any convenient format. I would like you to sign it in an inconvenient format. I think you inconvenienced all of us. You inconvenienced the president. You inconvenienced the vice president. I spent my whole day on Friday talking about you and your silly outburst and your disrespect for our country. I spent the whole weekend making videos and TikToks and going on X talking about how ungrateful you are. You've inconvenienced me. Now you want to sign this thing in a convenient way? No, thank you. He continues, we see this agreement as a step toward greater security and solid security guarantees, and I truly hope it will work effectively. Again, no apologies made in this post whatsoever. And that is something that I think everybody is going to demand. Now, but Donald Trump, by the way, he called this. Donald Trump said, look, yesterday he was talking about another great, huge investment in American technology, another $100 billion at least from a Taiwanese company that makes microchips. And he was asked about it. Here's what he said.
Everybody has to get into a room, so to speak, and we have to make a deal. And the deal can be made very fast. It should not be that hard a deal to make. It can be made very fast. Now, maybe somebody doesn't want to make a deal. And if somebody doesn't want to make a deal, I think that person won't be around very long. That person will not be listened to very long because I believe that Russia wants to make a deal. I believe certainly the people of Ukraine want to make a deal. They've suffered more than anybody else.
And he says basically it's all on Zelenskyy. So he's got to come to the table or he's got to go. I imagine that part of this deal is going to be Zelensky's resignation. I imagine that at this point in time, Donald Trump's going to demand that be part of the contract, that you will get aid to your country as soon as you resign and hold an election. I imagine Donald Trump's done with this guy. I imagine Europe's done with this guy. I'm pretty sure the rest of the world's done with this guy. I know I'm done with this guy. So I think that we've probably seen the end of Vladimir Zelenskyy. If he wants the cooperation of the United States of America, if he wants this deal signed, he's going to have to step down. He's going to have to remove the martial law mandates. He's going to have to hold an election, and we're going to have some new president in Ukraine looking over this future relationship between Donald Trump and whomever they place in charge. I don't know that that's part of it. I would just imagine that is a part of any new deal that Donald Trump is going to have. In fact, it's so funny because when you look, this is bad news for the Democrats, because the Democrats, this is just making them look even dumber. The Democrats, if you can believe it, the Democrats have been, they did something yesterday. It's so funny. They want everybody to believe that Donald Trump doesn't know what he's doing, that despite all of his success, Donald Trump is somehow destroying America. So prior to this speech he's giving tonight, they decided they were going to do a social media campaign. And they were all going to go on their social media, their Instagram or their TikTok or wherever they are, and they were going to record messages talking to the American people and letting voters know what an awful, terrible, horrible job Donald Trump has been doing, how he's been letting Elon Musk just mince and slice and dice up the government, and how prices are soaring still and he's not doing anything to help it. The problem is, instead of making these posts on social media in their own words, they were all handed the same script. And they all read the same script and posted videos with the same script, thinking that the internet wasn't going to notice. Look at this. Look at this ridiculousness.
When I win, I will immediately bring prices down starting on day one.
That ain't true. That's what you just heard. Since day one of Donald Trump's presidency, prices are not down, they're up. Inflation is getting worse. Not better. The prices.
Okay, what you're watching is Chuck Schumer on the left, Elizabeth Warren in the middle, Cory Booker on the right, all reading the same exact script, all starting their posts with the same clip of Donald Trump, all sitting in the same kind of atmosphere. They're trying to get the message to the people. And what I guess they don't realize is that we follow all y'all. We know what all y'all are up to.
Grocery, gas, housing, eggs of essentials. It's not getting better. It's getting worse. Meanwhile, Donald Trump has done nothing. Goose eggs to lower prices.
This has given me Kamala Harris speech vibes. Remember when she used to give the same speech every single day, over and over again, sometimes in the same speech in two different cities? But look, it gets worse. It wasn't just Chuck Schumer and Elizabeth Warren and Cory Booker. It wasn't just the three of them reading from the same script. It was 22 senators from the Democrat Party at last count. There may be more now, but look at this. This is like a scene out of a horror movie or something. Listen to this.
When I win, I will immediately bring prices down starting on day one.
I see Blumenthal in there. I see Mark Kelly in there. I see, it's great. Oh, they've got Mazie Hirono in there. It's so ridiculous. I mean, 22 people all reading from the same script, all trying to convince their cohorts that Donald Trump is a bad president, and also that they lack so much originality. It would be so much better if they spoke in their own voices. These people, not only do they suck at governing, but they suck at social media. They should all come to my master class tomorrow. That's a great idea. They should come to my masterclass tomorrow night, and I will teach them how to effectively create content to reach their audience and get their audience to convert whatever, vote for them or see their side of it or donate to their campaign, because they're a horrible. You can't just copy and paste. You can't just plagiarize each other and expect people to react positively. In fact, that's a great idea. I'm gonna write to all of these senators. I'm gonna tell them to come to my masterclass, which is tomorrow night. Which, incidentally, if you would like to come as well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to teach you all of my strategies that I've learned, not just over the last year, but over the last 15 years that I've been getting paid to produce social media. When I got fired from my radio job and this became my full-time gig, I dove headfirst into figuring out a way to do what I want to do every single day, which is talk about politics and create a podcast and interact with conservatives and share the news and opinions and make sure that Donald Trump was elected president once again and secure our country, because I love our country more than anything else. And if I could spend every single day talking into a microphone and yelling into a camera, showing people how great our country is and how it's got to be defended and how we can all defend it, then I wanted to do it. But I also have to eat and feed my family. So I figured out ways to create fantastic content, make offers that my audience would love, and profit from it. And now I'm holding a masterclass tomorrow where I can teach you to do the exact same thing. Make $1 for every follower you have on social media, and that's the minimum. That's just where it starts. If you'd like to come, it's 8 o'clock tomorrow night, Wednesday, March the 5th, 8 p.m. We'll do some live content audits. It's about a 1-hour class. It's really fantastic. It's only $17. And if you'd like to join us, we would love to have you. The website is www.dollarsforfollowers.com, or if you click on the link in the description of this video, you can go there right now. It is on Zoom, and I'll be honest with you, I don't even know how big my Zoom room is. I should probably check on that. I don't know how big my Zoom room is, but there's probably limited space, so I would go there right now. Also, I'm gonna invite these 22 Democrats to come. So that's 22 spaces right there. So if you're interested in learning how to take your social media content and turn it into not just likes and follows and shares, which are great, but dollars and cents that you can use to pay the bills, pay off your truck, pay the mortgage, send your kid to college, or just, go out for McDonald's, because that stuff is really expensive these days, then go to dollarsforfollowers.com, or like I said, click the link in the description of the video. That happens tomorrow night at 8 p.m. So the Democrats, they're horrible at governing. They're horrible at social media. And now what they're going to do is they're going to go and disrupt Donald Trump's speech with signs and eggs and noisemakers and hand clappers and walkouts. And it's just, it's the last gasp. It's the final, I would say, hurrah of the Democrat Party. When they start resorting to these kinds of tactics, it means that they're a party devoid of ideas, devoid of leadership, devoid of intellect, devoid of backbone. It means that they can't do anything. They see nothing on the horizon that is positive. They see no light at the end of the tunnel. They have no leaders that they can turn to in a time of need. When the Republicans lost the election in 2020, when the Republicans were out of control, we sought leadership. We had a leader, and that leader rose back to power in January of 2025. Donald Trump is now back in a position of power. He delivered not just the White House, but the Senate, the House of Representatives. We've got a strong Supreme Court, and now he's delivering on all of his promises. The Democrats don't have anyone like that. They don't have anybody out there who can invest in the United States of America the way that Donald Trump does, who can find people to invest in the United States the way that Donald Trump does. Donald Trump yesterday announced, look, in 6 weeks, he's brought in $1.5 trillion in new investments. Joe Biden chased all this money away, whether it was COVID lockdowns, whether it was, helping to fund the exportation of American jobs, all these things. You remember when they would shut down American factories and ship them overseas, and they'd shut down coal mining, and they'd tell them to go code and all this other ridiculous stuff that Joe Biden did. Donald Trump is bringing it all back. He's bringing it back. And yesterday there was a massive investment announced from a Taiwanese microchip builder.
Today, Taiwan Semiconductor is announcing that they will be investing at least $100 billion in new capital in the United States over the next short period of time to build state-of-the-art semiconductor manufacturing facilities. I think mostly it's going to be in Arizona, which is what I understand, which is a great state. I like it because I won it. But I won most of them, actually. So but I did. We won it, and we won it big. The most powerful AI chips in the world will be made right here in America, and it'll be a big percentage of the chips made by his company. But as you know, they're based mostly in Taiwan, and they're far and away the biggest. There's nobody even close. This $100 billion in new investment will go into building 5 cutting-edge fabrication facilities in the great state that we just discussed, Arizona, and will create thousands of jobs, many thousands of jobs, and they're high-paying jobs. In total, today's announcement brings Taiwan semiconductor investments to about $165 billion. They've started already.
And that's not just an investment in the United States of America, in Arizona specifically, but it's also jobs that are going to come to this country or that are going to be created, and that means more tax revenue. It's also national security, which is something that Donald Trump explained, saying, hey, look, we're going to make 40% of our microprocessors and our computer chips here in the United States of America, which is huge because we're the #1 market. Every cell phone you have, every remote control you have, every television set, every car you drive, there's a microchip, at least one of them in there somewhere. And this company makes a whole bunch of them. World leader in microchip technology. And so what's going to happen is they're going to make them here now. So if China invades Taiwan, which God forbid that never happens, but if it does, we won't have to worry about dealing with China. We won't have to be worried about China jacking up tariffs or not allowing us to have the technology that we need, because the technology we need will be made right here in the United States of America, thanks to Donald Trump. And it's all because of tariffs. Donald Trump readily admitted it. He said, look, because of this is because of tariffs. All right, this is all because of tariffs.
The United States has been taken advantage of for 40 years. The United States has been a laughingstock for years and years. That's why this gentleman is built in Taiwan instead of building here. It would have been better if he built here. If we had a president that knew what they were doing, and we had a lot of them very bad on trade. Look, I'm a huge fan of Ronald Reagan, but he was bad on trade, very bad on trade. He allowed a lot of people, a lot of businesses to be taken. So I say that with due respect, because he was so great on other things, but he was bad on trade. We are setting records right now, records like nobody has ever seen before. When you have companies like this coming in, and almost 40% of their company in one signature is going to be devoted to what he does, which is one of the most important businesses in the world. That's an unbelievable thing. When Apple now is going to start building all of their plants here, all because of what we've done in terms of, it's not because he likes me or they like me. They don't probably like me at all. I don't know. I think he likes me a little bit at least. But you know what? It's the incentive we created, or the negative incentive. I mean, it's going to be very costly for people to take advantage of this country. They can't come in and steal our money and steal our jobs and take our factories and take our businesses and expect not to be punished. And they're being punished by tariffs. It's a very powerful weapon that politicians haven't used because they were either dishonest, stupid, or paid off in some other form. And now we're using them.
And now look how great it is. And he's basically saying the reason I got this investment is because of tariffs. I put reciprocal tariffs on every country. So this guy can make his microprocessors and his computer chips in Taiwan and pay a massive tariff to bring them into the United States. Or he can go, you know what? It'd be cheaper to just go to the United States and build them there, which is exactly what Donald Trump wanted. It's exactly what Donald Trump got. And tariffs made it possible. Speaking of tariffs, the tariffs against Canada and China and Mexico because of the fentanyl crisis went into effect last night while we were all asleep, or maybe, I don't know, maybe you were night, maybe you were, I don't know what you were doing. Maybe you were awake when these tariffs went into effect. I don't know. But Justin Trudeau woke up and he was not at all happy. The governor of the 51st state of Canada was not at all happy that these tariffs hit. So he decided that he was going to start a tariff war. And then, like a true amateur politician, he was going to blame the tariff war on President Donald Trump.
So today, the United States launched a trade war against Canada. At the same time, they're talking about working positively with Russia, appeasing Vladimir Putin, a lying, murderous dictator. Make that make sense. Canadians are reasonable, and we are polite. But we will not back down from a fight. Not when our country and the well-being of everyone in it is at stake. At the moment, the U.S. tariffs came into effect in the early hours of this morning, and so did the Canadian response. Canada will be implementing 25% tariffs against $155 billion worth of American goods, starting with tariffs on $30 billion worth of goods immediately, and tariffs on the remaining $125 billion of American products in 21 days' time.
All right, so here's the interesting thing. Donald Trump said, hey, look, you guys are not stopping fentanyl from coming into the country, so we're going to impose a tariff. Also, he said, you guys are tariffing us, imposing tariffs on us, and so we are going to impose tariffs on you. Reciprocal tariffs, it's called. And instead of dropping the tariffs and keeping the fentanyl from coming into the country, which would have been maybe a little harder to do. Maybe it would have been harder for Justin Trudeau to say, all right, we'll drop the tariffs. We'll let your banks come in here and do business. And yeah, we'll crack down and we'll get all the fentanyl. Maybe that would have been harder to do. So the easier thing is just to say, well, if you're going to raise tariffs on us, we're going to raise tariffs on you, and then call it a trade war. And really all Donald Trump is doing is he's matching. It's a tit for tat tariff. That's all this is. But Justin Trudeau, he can't admit that. So he's holding a press conference and he's blaming the United States of America. And it's easy to do. Everybody sees Donald Trump as an aggressor. Everybody sees Donald Trump as the aggressor. Everybody sees him as this angry bully who just, makes fun of people and yells at people like poor little Vladimir Zelenskyy, who's in a war, and he's screaming and yelling at him at the White House. That's not fair. And Donald Trump called me the governor of the 51st state, and that just wasn't nice at all. And he's just a big bully. Except the fact of the matter is, a lot of people really like Donald Trump. In fact, in the UK wants you to believe that Donald Trump is unpopular, that Donald Trump is scary, that people in the UK don't like Donald Trump. But the fact of the matter is that people in UK love Donald Trump.
Succeed. Forget about the people in London. Forget about the establishment. Forget about the detractors in the fake news media. The real people out there in the United Kingdom. We love you, Mr. President.
Look at the thousands and thousands and thousands of Brits outside of Parliament waving American flags, screaming, "We love Trump. We love Trump." I imagine you're going to start seeing that I imagine you'll start seeing those in Canada as well. I imagine you'll start seeing people like that all over, chanting, "We love Trump, we love Trump." The fake news media, the establishment will try to tell you we don't love you, but we love you, Mr. President, and we stand by you. And that's the United Kingdom. That's not Texas. That's not Florida. That's not any of this. This is the UK. I mean, that is just incredible. That's an incredible display of sovereignty, and Donald Trump knows that, and that's why Donald Trump is so popular, not just here but also abroad. And that's why Donald Trump isn't going to take any crap from anyone, especially the governor of Canada, Justin Trudeau, who paused in his press conference to send President Trump a direct message, a DM, if you will.
Now I want to speak directly to one specific American. Donald. In the over 8 years you and I have worked together, we've done big things. We signed a historic deal that has created record jobs and growth in both of our countries. We've done big things together on the world stage, as Canada and the US have done together for decades, for generations. And now we should be working together to ensure even greater prosperity for North Americans in a very uncertain and challenging world. Now, it's not in my habit to agree with the Wall Street Journal, but Donald, they point out that even though you're a very smart guy This is a very dumb thing to do. We two friends fighting is exactly what our opponents around the world want to see.
Wow. So there's Justin Trudeau calling the president of the United States Donald and saying that he's dumb. Now, from what I know of President Donald Trump, I don't think either of those two things are going to fly. I don't think if you want to, maybe, ask Vladimir Zelenskyy how that worked out for him. I don't think you want to refer to President Donald Trump as Donald in a press conference. And by the way, it's not a message directly to Donald Trump. That's a big lie. If it were a message directly to Donald Trump, you would have just called him. It was not at all. It was you trying to look tough.
Now I want to speak directly to one specific American, Donald.
And then to call him dumb, or to paraphrase, or to quote the Wall Street Journal calling him dumb. Well, that's just a very dumb thing to do, but I would expect nothing less from Justin Trudeau. Also, didn't you quit? When's this election? When is this happening? We need new leadership across the board. We need new leadership in Ukraine. We need new leadership in Canada. We need probably new leadership in Mexico. And we need new leadership in the UK as well. And this whole conservative movement, this whole idea of MAGA, Make America Great Again, we need it to be a worldwide global thing. Well, sure, we have it in pockets. We have it in Italy. We have it in Argentina. It kind of popped up in Germany almost, but not quite. Now we need it in the rest of the places where it really matters. And Justin Trudeau on his way out the door, it's just not a good look. What he should really do for the benefit of everybody in his country and to be remembered as a strong leader is to drop the tariffs and to say, hey, look, we're not, I don't care. I don't care. Donald Trump is right. He has been treated unfairly. We have been taking advantage of the United States of America. And it'll stop now. In an effort of true friendship and in an effort to work together, we will drop the tariffs right now. President Donald Trump, by the way, just a few minutes ago, replied to Justin Trudeau, and he wrote, please explain to Governor Trudeau of Canada that when he puts on a retaliatory tariff on the U.S., our reciprocal tariff will immediately increase by a like amount. Yeah, I guess he didn't. That's how reciprocal tariffs work. See, reciprocal tariffs work like this. Whatever you tariff us, we're going to tariff you. So if you're tariffing us at 15%, we're going to do 15%. But then if you raise yours to 25%, we're going to raise yours as well. And we're just going to keep going up and up and up and up until eventually somebody caves. And it's not going to be the United States of America, because as Donald Trump has said over and over again, there's nothing they have that we need. We don't need their automobiles. We don't need their oil. We don't need their energy. We don't need their maple syrup. We don't need their, I don't know what else, their bacon, their Canadian bacon, which isn't even really bacon. We got our own hogs. We'll be slaughtering our own hogs from here on out. We'll be tapping into our own maple tree. We don't need their hockey teams coming over here and, scoring goals on us. We don't need any of that stuff. There's nothing that Canada has that we need. We can be self-sufficient. And fun fact, the rest of the world is, think about this. Think of what's happening with Canada and Mexico. It's really weird. Our closest allies, our neighbors to the north and south, the ones that we share the continent with, these guys are attacking us. They're taking advantage of us. And when given the prospect or the opportunity to lower their tariffs and create free trade, real actual free trade, they scoff and they smack us in the face and they stab us in the back. When you have countries across the world who are like, you know what, we're gonna make good. We're gonna drop our tariffs. We're gonna come over here to the United States. We're gonna invest. It's a really easy thing to do. Donald Trump's not looking for anything that's not fair. What he's looking for is somebody who's not going to take advantage of him or you or me or us or the rest of the country ever again. Justin Trudeau apparently has laid down the law and said, we will continue to take advantage of you and everybody else. It's like Vladimir Zelenskyy thought he could continue to take advantage of the United States of America, and he was wrong. Even Chip Roy, was on CNN talking about how great Donald Trump's diplomacy is.
The president wants a ceasefire. He's been very clear about that. He campaigned on that. He talked about that. He wants peace. And so right now they're saying have a ceasefire. And the president was serious about saying we can sit down with Russia and try to figure out where the lines will be drawn, figure out Crimea, figure out Donbass. But at the end of the day, we've got to actually know what the path to success is. Ukrainians are dying by the tens of thousands. Our money is being used to fuel that war and continue a war that I'd like to know, where does that lead us? How do we get to success here?
Who do you blame for that war?
I mean, look, the war started under Joe Biden's watch. He destroyed our energy policies. He empowered Russia. He was siding with Iran and China, which was also helping Russia.
Wait, but you blame Joe Biden for the war?
This all started under Joe Biden.
But who's...
It's so funny to me. Whenever Caitlin Collins interviews a Republican, she looks like she's in class. She looks like she's a college kid listening to the professor, doesn't she? And she's like she should be taking notes. Like, oh, Joe Biden started. Oh, okay. Wait a minute. You blame Joe Biden? Explain that to me. I don't feel like she's an intellectual reporter of news or, interviewer of world leaders and powerful people. I just feel like she's a college girl in some kind of comparative government class, trying to figure out what the hell this lecturer is all about. That's the vibe I get from her. And I don't.
The war.
But my point is that war wouldn't have started if Donald Trump's in the White House. If we have a strong hand in the White House, Vladimir Putin does not go into Ukraine. That's just the truth. We had a weak hand in the White House.
Well,
Joe Biden let it happen. Destroyed our energy policy. That's your analysis and your view, but you don't know that for sure. And
okay, I think the historical data shows. Look, it's a great point he brings up here. When you're asked who's to blame for the war in Ukraine, the answer is Joe Biden. And I'll explain. When you have a screen door in your home, say, for example, when you have a screen door in your home and it's a beautiful day, you can open the door. The screen door is there. Mosquitoes and bees and wasps, they can't come into your house. There's a screen there to protect you from, you can enjoy everything. You can enjoy the freedom and the fresh air and the sunshine and the breeze. It's all fantastic. But it's like you're outside, only you're inside, and these bugs and these varmints, whatever, they can't come through the screen. When Joe Biden was basically elected, the screen was removed. It was like slashed down, whatever. The screen was removed. And so now the bugs and the mosquitoes and the wasps and all those other, and the snakes, whatever, they can all climb through. And you can't, look, we knew what Vladimir Putin was. We knew what his goals were in Ukraine. We knew that it was the United States' job to remain strong and lay down the law and put up a barricade, a screen door, if you will, and say, you're not going to behave this way. Because wasps will sting. Mosquitoes will bite. Snakes will take a chunk out of you if they have the opportunity. That's their nature. Joe Biden's the one that removed the screen door. He removed the protective shield. He's the reason why Ukraine was invaded, not President Donald Trump. And Caitlin Collins is learning that for the first time live on CNN. She just always looks so lost. Always looks so lost. I guess that's the end of the clip. Anyway, listen. So big speech tonight. We got a busy week. Big speech tonight. We'll be going live again at 8 p.m. Eastern time. We'll do like an hour beforehand because I imagine there's going to be a lot of stuff that happens between now and then. We'll go over all of it. We'll prime you for the speech. We'll get you ready for the speech. We'll let you know what Donald Trump's going to be talking about and what to look for with the Democrats. Maybe we'll come up with some fun games or that kind of thing. Plus, once the speech begins, we will be watching it together. I'll be live. I'll be in the corner of your screen. You can watch it. We'll chit chat back and forth. If you want to send some super chats, we'll do that too. It should be really exciting. And then tomorrow night at 8 o'clock, I'm live again for my Dollars to Followers masterclass, where I'll show you how to make $1 for every follower you have. And if you have an online company or a business, or if you want to start one, or if you're just, if you post a lot on social media and you're wondering how all of these other influencers are cashing in, I'll show you whatever number of followers you have. I'll teach you how to make at least $1 for those followers. And it's only $17 to attend. In just 1 hour, I'll teach you my most profitable sales, content, and social media techniques that I use to make $1 for every follower. It's a 3-part program. It's 60 minutes-ish, and it's going to be so much fun. So definitely go and subscribe, or rather register so that you can get in on that. That happens tomorrow night at 8 p.m. on Zoom. I'm very excited about that one as well. Don't forget to subscribe to this broadcast so you get this and all of our videos and all of our content every single day delivered to you instantly, whether it's podcast form or video form or live stream. Hit subscribe, hit like, share this. Set the notifications, because every single day there's a new threat, whether it's Ukraine or Russia or Canada, whether it's tariffs or the Democrats. There's always some new threat to your freedom, to your liberty, to our constitutional republic. There's always some new threat to our way of life. There's people coming after you because of the things you say, the things you believe, the things you do. And we can stop all of them if we stick together, if we come together, if we learn together. If, like poor little Caitlin Collins, we share information with each other so that we can stay informed, so that we can stay inspired, so that we can stay enlightened, and yes, my favorite, so that we can stay entertained. Because if we're informed, inspired, enlightened, and entertained, we're going to be excited, we're going to have the passion, and we're going to have the energy to continue every single day to fight, and save the Republic. Don't forget, dollars for followers. The link is in the description of this video. So if you want to go check out the description of the video, you can go there, dollarsforfollowers.com, or the link is right there. It's $17 and it's live on Zoom. One of my favorite things that we do, by the way, and we do this in my ACES community, is we have these content audits. So if you've got a YouTube video or a channel that's underperforming, or if you've got an Instagram video you posted, you're like, nobody liked it, then I'll take a look at it and I'll offer some helpful hints and suggestions from somebody who, has been doing this for almost 2 decades and with quite a bit of success. So this is all happening tomorrow night, dollarsforfollowers.com. You can also check it out in the link in the description. Now, keep in mind, it's mostly people from this audience. So if you're worried that there's going to be like woke folk there, or anyone's going to ask you your pronoun, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It's going to be a lot of fun. And hopefully you'll learn a whole bunch of stuff. So check that out. Check that out. In the meantime, we've got our after party for our Patriot Club members, and that begins in 3 minutes. See you there.